Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Ulfah and I'm from class 2B. Now for fulfill the final exam in this semester, speaking academic purposes course, I will explain about research. In the title of the research is complete the first assignment, a case study of a successful writing process and unsuccessful student. And the next we have introduction. The first of introduction is background. Lack of knowledge about academic writing. From previous research, the researchers mentioned most students have to order as soon as they at university, oftentimes without much knowledge of academic writing, and it may be different from the writing they experience in high school. And the second one is to compare students who success and do not success in a writing study. Researchers conducted this study to see how comparison were seen between successful and unsuccessful students in the study. Less information was available on student activities during the extended procedure of developing academic texts, and on their interaction with cognitive process in service, such as planning, drafting, and reviewing. Insight into student use of this may reveal that in published report on valid texts so far have not been addressed in academic terms. And the next one is about research question. For the first, what are the time allocation for the various process between valid writers and new academic writers? The researchers adapted Flower and Hess 1981 model which described writing as the interaction for three basic process: planning, translation, and review, which is based on the time allocation between successful writers and unsuccessful novice writers. Namely, the writer's long-term memory and task environment component of goal definition, generating ideas, and providing information. And the second one is how do writing behaviors differ between successful newbies and non-academic writers. For the analysis of writing behaviors, the researchers can generate a verbal description or translation, vocalization, determining the details and content of all observed activities. For example, the type of research used, Google search, Grammarly, to writing tool, article name. The argument lines developed in the formulation process, and the nature of the revision made. Despite the time translation, they provide easy access to the context and content of the process, which is reduced to a simple measurement of time. And the next is about research objective. For the first, the aim of our study was to compare the successful and unsuccessful use of the academic by beginners. As has been shown by the previous discussion, the finding from the one-shot studies have academic relevance because of their arrangement. The small number of studies into academic that influence the use of the process without being connected to manage performance. It is precisely the process that is used by new academic students who need to be applied better to improve the quality of their learning. And the next is about review of related literature. For the first is from Dobe 2010. Here the researchers state that the lack of attention to the reading and writing process. And the second one is Tardy 2009 suggests that as one of the four dominant in the knowledge genre model, writing focus on the textual and rhetorical aspect of the genre. And the second and the last is Sasaki 2000. Sasaki also mentioned that some studies have written process writing expert and novice writers, and the expert allocate more time to the planning and review process to spend most of their time on actual text formulation. And the last is about method. Uh, in this research is the first student observation. Student to install on their computers the screen captures software Ice Cream during the pre-delivery period. Researchers sent students weekly reminders and asked them to activate the software each time they work. And the second one is student interview. Here the research conduct interview with each student 3 times. First at the planning stage when they have received a short assignment, and then at the writing stage about 2 weeks before submission, and finally at the reflection stage after they have received a grade and feedback comment. And the next is for data collection in research. In this case study, up to student 15.5 hours of recording should be analyzed. Gina, who wrote a 2,000-word essay on the relationship between freedom and self-equality. From the perspective of two political economists, he recorded 11 writing sessions, which he spent a total of 11.3 hours with an average time of 1 hour 15 minutes per session. And the last is Ellen, who wrote many essays shorter than 900 long words, recorded 7 sessions in which she spent a total of 4,2 hours, with the average time per session being 35,7 minutes. And the last is participant in this research is 13 students who will write their first assignment, 7 from an Australian and second from a British university. Their age range from 18 to 24 years, and only one was not a native English speakers. I think that's enough presentation for me. Thank you, and I'm really sorry about the mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.